So you can't talk about marketing and promotion without mentioning social media, can you? It would just be wrong these days with Twitter and Facebook and all the rest of it. Social networks and communities are a great way of building up your contacts within the target audience you're trying to reach. But as I implied earlier, it's really easy to annoy people. You've got to be so careful that you don't spam people or harass people or just get under their skin. You need to be participating in these communities, but it's always important to remember some basic principles when participating in communities online. First of all, converse with people, don't broadcast at them. Social networks are supposed to be about conversations, but so often when people are using them with marketing in mind, they just use them as a loud hailer to shout at people, and that's not at all the right approach. Secondly, be personal, right? Talk about yourself. It's a really interesting thing when it comes to sales and marketing that people buy from people, right? They don't buy from other companies. They're attracted to people. If all things are equal, people are more likely to buy from you if they like you as a person, if they feel that they know you in some way. So be personal when participating in communities. Also, as I said in the last video, make sure you're contributing value. Answer people's questions, point them at useful articles, join in with the community, be a member of the community rather than just marketing at the community. Also, if you get it wrong, you will get it wrong. You'll put your foot in it at some point. When you do admit your mistakes, it really takes the wind out of people's sails. You know, if you've gone in and you've accidentally been more salesy than you should have and people have got annoyed at you over it, if you go, yeah, hands up, you're entirely right, that was totally over the top, I do apologize, they've got nowhere to go. So you can cover up a whole load of mistakes if you just are willing to admit it. Also, please don't spam. Don't post so regularly you get annoying. You know, whether it be a forum or on Twitter or Facebook or wherever else, you really can annoy people if you're just posting so much content. One thing that people really do like when you're participating in social media is when you share links, when you share content that you think your target audience might be interested in. And I'm not just talking about your content here, I'm talking about other people's content as well. Feels a bit weird sometimes when you post a link from one of your competitors, but you actually really build up some respect amongst people and they think that you're not there just to sell at them because you're even willing to mention your competitors from time to time. And finally, ask questions. Questions are a great way of engaging a community. In the previous video, I mentioned about how we engaged with the higher education community. And one of the first things I did was ask questions. I showed an interest in the sector and wanted to learn about it. And that was a great way to meet new people and engage with them online. So, if you want to promote your own stuff, there are times and places where you can do that. Of course, there's no point of participating in a community if sooner or later you can't mention your own stuff. Yes, you can occasionally mention links to your own content, but you can also use things like profiles and signatures to do it. People will go and look at your profile if they want, if they're interested in your services, if they want to know a little bit more about you. So make sure that you make good use of your Twitter and your Facebook profiles. If you're participating in forums, a lot of them allow you to insert a signature at the bottom, and it's perfectly acceptable to mention your own site on there. If you're going to do anything more than that, however, make sure you ask permission of the community leader. So when I joined that higher education community I mentioned, the first thing I did was go and write to the community leader and ask his permission to join it, to make sure he was okay with this evil corporate person joining his higher education community. And actually that worked really well. He allowed me to join, but he made me promise that I wouldn't contribute to the community, that I would just listen and learn. So that's what I did. And I took part in that community in a completely passive role for a long time until a question came up that I felt I could answer. And then I went back to the community leader And I asked that community leader's permission to answer the question. And he said, sure, just don't sell your stuff. So I answered the question. A little later, there was another question. So I repeated the process. And I repeated it again and again. And eventually, the community leader said, no, just post what you want. Just don't be too salesy. So I earned trust there. And that's what it's all about when you're thinking about social media, is to build up trust, build up credibility in the audience that you're trying to reach, to the point where they eventually accept you as their own.